going to pick him up. Double takedown. Can he do something with a full mount?
Trenching it with separation.
Yeah, he does, but he's not out of it yet. He's going to try and beat his leg out. Nice work there by Holland. That's impressive. And he lands the finishing eyes as well. Wants the knee, chin. Coming out to a raft of booze. Here is Ulberg running a 7-fight winning streak.
Left and right. There it is.
Very success.
The only thing left for me is a title shot.
That wrist is going to lock in the Kimura.
He wants a Kimura. Shot. Moves to the head to the left of Leon. He can get the takedown, and that is exactly what he said he was going to do. Now, if Leon turns into him, he's just going to finish it. He's got it.
This will be done. There it is.
Brady improves his standing amongst the world's best.
Kia ora e te iwi, no mai haramai ki UFC on Sky, ko Ravinda Hunia tōku ingoa. Joining me on the couch today, UFC Lightweight Dan Hooker. Kia ora e hoa.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Look what we have here.
Look what we
have here. Sweet, sweet success at the weekend for Carlos.
My man with his arm raised. No, obviously, great performance. Now he has the active 8-fight win streak, the longest active win streak in the division. And he's put himself in that 1 of 2 for a title shot. That's without a shadow of a doubt. It's going to come down to whether or not they do the Alex Pereira rematch or Carlos Ulberg. So the future is bright. We could see Carlos definitely fighting for a title. Like, obviously, with him getting past Jan, his next fight will be for a title, but that's like whether or not they do the immediate rematch between Alex Pereira and Ankalaev. Then Carlos will just have to wait and fight the winner of that. Or they might just slide him in and we'll see Ankalaev fight Carlos Ulberg. But yeah, his fight against Jan is a very dangerous fighter, which I feel like a lot of people didn't give Carlos like the credit he deserved from this fight. Like, watching it wasn't the highest paced fight, but you can't have a highest paced fight against a guy like Jan. He's super powerful, he's super dangerous, and he's very slick at what he does. You could see it in the fight. Our team just kind of knew that what he was trying to do. Like, when it came to the end of the round, you just seen, like, he took it very defensively and very controlled, and Jan was like very patient. Carlos was able to rack up the numbers and kind of just get a little bit ahead on the scorecards. But when it came to that like minute left mark, you saw like a quick change in pace of Jan where he really picked it up. And we all, like, he is 42 years old. He's not, at that age, you can't just be a fighter that goes out there and just pushes hard for that amount of time. So we knew coming into the fight that last, it's just a tendency that he has that you have to stay switched on for the entire fight, because that last minute of every round, Jan really tries to steal the rounds and get ahead on the scorecards. But I feel like the most impressive thing for Carlos was like no controlled, because definitely Jan would have wanted to control him against the cage and drag him onto the mat. No control time against the cage, and no takedowns were successfully secured. I think Carlos was the only one to shoot a takedown.
A couple of them,
at the end of the day. So I feel like, incredible win, and just mounts a huge, very impressive win streak.
Absolutely. And you alluded to a bit of the criticism that's been copped post this fight, and people saying, he's not ready for a title fight now.
Yeah, but look at the title fight. Pereira and Ankalaev wasn't the most action-packed fighters, but light heavyweight is pretty much like heavyweight. These guys can blow each other's chins off with a single punch. So you can't fight like a flyweight, you can't fight like a featherweight, you can't fight like a bantamweight, where the guys are landing 100 punches throughout the fight. Like, these guys hit each other once, they go to sleep. So what do you expect? The high-paced fight where they hit each other 100 times? It's like the guys, because it's so dangerous, like all that takes is, it's why the fans love to watch heavyweight boxing, because the stakes are so much higher. That for me, as a fan, watching a light heavyweight fight or a heavyweight fight, like, you are closer to the edge of your seat. I think my missus came in and I was perched up. I was perched up on the couch because I know that a single mistake or 1 second lapse in concentration, and you can get knocked out at this weight, like the size and athleticism of these guys.
Yeah. You said last week that from the Oezdemir fight, Carlos is showing more patience, being a little bit more, reading the fight a lot better, but that he needed to be a little bit more aggressive in comparison, and he needed to show something. Do you feel he did that in this fight?
I feel it was clear. Like, I felt at the end of the fight, I was very confident that he was going to get his hand raised, just because of the accumulations of strikes. And I feel like the commentary team did notice it, just the speed difference, like his speed difference. And I don't think that maybe people don't understand Jan was like trying to cut him down and push him off against the cage. But the most impressive thing for me in this fight for Carlos was his ability to not get his back stuck on the cage. Like, we never saw him like jammed up against the cage and stuck. I feel like he made a big improvement in his footwork, where he was able to misdirect. There was a few times where Jan just kind of went for it, came swinging in, and just missed by a mile. It was kind of like that bull matador situation where Carlos just pulled the rug away from him.
I think Jan even well done.
Acknowledged.
That was good.
I went for that one. So yeah, he did show improvements in this game. I feel like his footwork was a lot better. And yeah, that to me for this fight was that championship level composure that you need when the pressure's on, when the title's on the line, when you're in these main events, when there's the millions of dollars on the line. Can you stay as composed as you can in the prelims or something like that?
Yeah. How does this now translate into 5-round fights? Because obviously from here on in, he's looking at a top 5 spot. Obviously Jan Blachowicz was number 4. So now he'll be looking at main eventing, possible title fight. How does this translate into a 5-round fight? Where does Carlos go from here?
Yeah, well, they're just the skills you need to be successful at a 5-round fight. I felt like he did do good. There were good adjustments. Like Jan he's got a very heavy low kick, and he was landing a lot of low kicks, but then Carlos made some great adjustments at checking that low kick. Not only checking the low kick, but then being able to counter and accumulate his own low kicks on Jan. Jan would come storming in. He was catching him coming in, which obviously derailed him a lot more. So yeah, it's just, for me, just progression in Carlos's game. Yeah. I feel like if they would have fought these two in the second fight of Carlos Correa in the UFC, it would have looked nothing like this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there was a moment in this fight, and I showed you the clip, of you talking to Carlos in the gym about this low kick, and then him actually putting it into practice during this fight.
I taught him that now.
Look, there was this moment here. Look, I love the branding, by the way, of you holding the microphone the whole time you do it. But you're working with Carlos here in the gym, and then in the fight, he's actually doing it as well. So talk to us about why you felt you needed to show Carlos this.
Oh, because the man asks a million questions. That's just what he does. This is something that our coach, Twister, our striking coach, has us check low kicks using this one. So he was just asking me some little things about what our coach really wanted out of this one. It's just a great way to shut down the not only the low kick, but especially that calf kick, which Jan does really well. Alex Bajeda does incredibly well. So if you're going to beat either of these two guys, you're going to need this tool to shut their striking down.
Absolutely. Taking any credit or?
No, team battle. I got my team battle T-shirt. All credit goes.
Carlos Ulberg gets the job done at UFC Fight Night in London. And then this week, we have Perth's own Steve Erceg up against Brandon Moreno in Mexico City. Now, I had the pleasure of catching up with Steve earlier on to get his thoughts ahead of this huge fight against the former champion.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Look, how is it like? I feel like you get these big fights, you move into enemy territory to take on some of the biggest guys in the division. How has it been down there on the ground in Mexico City so far?
Yeah, honestly, Mexico is very different than I expected. Everybody's very nice, light. I feel it's nice to be here, and just got a fight to have soon. You almost forget sometimes, almost like you're on a vacation, I guess.
Yeah, it can get like that in places like Mexico, quite dreamy, and like bucket list type of stuff, right? Yeah,
well, we haven't done any like the really big touristy stuff, like the pyramids and that sort of thing. That will happen after the fight, but we went to the soccer and did some stuff like that. So it's been pretty cool so far. Nice.
Look, I saw on Instagram that there was a bit of a publicity opportunity where you were there face to face with Brandon. Talk to us about that.
It was sort of in and out real quick. We rocked up to, I actually don't even know where it was, but it was very close to where I'm staying, and then saw each other for 3 seconds and then went our separate ways. It was over very quick.
Nice. Was it like the reality of you getting this fight with Brandon Moreno? Did it kind of kick in at that point?
It feels very odd seeing somebody that you've watched on television for so many years and then see him right in front of you, and then remember that you're supposed to fight him in a couple of days. It's a weird experience.
Well, that to me says that you have, a lot of respect for him and that you've perhaps admired him over those fights that you've watched.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a former champion, very good fighter, and I just think I'm better.
Nice. Look, and obviously, originally, this was not your opponent. You were supposed to fight Asu Almabayev, and you both branched off to different fights. So talk to us about how this one came about. Were you slated to fight Asu, but this, a better opportunity came along? How did that happen?
I was supposed to fight Asu, and then, honestly, I don't know exactly what happened. I got told that Asu couldn't make the fight anymore, but they had the Brandon Moreno fight now. But obviously, he was fighting on the same card was supposed to fight on originally. So I think potentially they just needed somebody to fight in Mexico against Brandon Moreno, and out of myself and Asu, they thought I was maybe more exciting.
Talk to us about this ascension, because obviously in comparison, no disrespect to Asu, but Brandon Moreno is a huge fight. You've mentioned that he is a former title holder. And of course, in your last couple of fights, you've been fighting the likes of Kai Kara-France, Pantoja. It seems like they give you these tall tasks, but you're always willing to step up to the challenge. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they tested me early with like short notice fights and stuff, and I've always said yes. And they, I guess, like my fighting style, like my attitude, and thought, you know what, maybe we can do something with this guy. So now I just got to go out there and, win, I guess, prove him right. Absolutely. Not to mention the skill, Steve. We've seen you fighting, obviously, in your, reign in the UFC, and you've been doing pretty well. I mentioned Kai Kara-France. Obviously, in that last fight, it was a result that you didn't want. But, with this quick ascension, what did that result kind of teach you? Because you've been put in the fast lane in the UFC, and it kind of feels like you've felt it all already. Yeah, I mean, I got to fight in front of my home crowd and against a very big name that I was watching for a while. So, I mean, it was, apart from the result, it was like a dream come true. Now, you learn everything from every fight and every loss, and that was no different. I learned a lot from that fight. I have a lot of respect for Kai, and don't know what's coming up for him, but hopefully good things. Absolutely. And I must admit, Steve, I was over there in Perth during that time, and I felt torn, because obviously we have a lot of, love for our Anzac fighters, and that's the reality of it. And of course, Kai is from here, but we didn't, that was a tough one to read on that one. I felt very torn in that fight. Yes, I imagine lots of Australian and New Zealand fans felt the same way. Absolutely, but it also goes to show the amount of talent we have on this side of the world. That two of some of the best flyweights in the division are Australian and New Zealand, and that is you. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, you just had one win last weekend, or the weekend just gone, and Carlos Ulberg, he had a big win. So
lots of talent from here.
I heard in an interview you talking about how ready you feel for this fight, that, you know, you had a fight against the champion, against Pantoja, but you feel more excited about this fight. Please tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, obviously, most people feel very nervous when they get the call up to fight, and I'm no different. But, yeah, when I got the news about this fight, it was, more excitement than anything else. It's nothing I've really felt before. So I think it's the fact that it's in Mexico, somebody I've wanted to fight for so long. And I feel very strong at the moment. I feel fit. I feel I've improved technically. I just feel really ready to go out and put on a performance.
Nice one, Steve. Well, I'll leave you to it. All the very best for this weekend and this amazing opportunity for you in the UFC.
Thank you very much.
Kia ora, Steve. Of course, all the best to him this weekend. A fellow Anzac on the world stage. Mexico City, Dan, against the former champion. Tall task for Steve Erceg, but we have seen him show up for big fights before.
Tall task to go all that way. Mexico City is at elevation. It's like a crazy amount of elevation. So it's going to be a lot harder to breathe. You've got a 5-round fight. There's 5-round fighting, and then there's 5-round fighting at with limited oxygen.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot harder. And then obviously, like, Erceg's coming off 2 losses. Moreno's coming off a win. So he's obviously been able to turn his tide of his career already. I'd say for this, not only going to Mexico City, but then obviously Erceg coming off the back of the Kaikara France fight where he was knocked out, and that's hard. It's hard to get up from a fight like that. It's hard to mentally get locked back in, because obviously he came into the UFC on an incredible steam, was chucked into the title fight on a win streak. Then it's easy because you have no like counteracting evidence that you can't beat the champion. But now he has lost that title fight, which again, he wouldn't have lost a lot of confidence. He lost a 5-round decision to Pantoja. Like, it was a great fight. He was very close. So no way he would have lost that. But then he came into the Kaikara France fight and was obviously stopped quite handedly. So this will be very hard for Steve Erceg to get back up from.
Yeah, absolutely. That fight against Kaikara France was, yes, one to remember. And I did express to Steve that I did feel a bit torn that week. You know, Steve, he's a lovely guy. You know, he's a lovely guy. He's one of our Anzacs, so you have that.
I feel like he's looking at me now. So
we've got to stop talking badly, looking at us in the eye. But, you know, but what do you learn off of that when you come? Obviously, Brandon Moreno in that last fight against Amir Albazi was absolutely on fire, especially in the boxing space. Kaikara France had a lot of success. That was a success in this fight against Steve Erceg. So what, you know, can Steve take away from that in terms of having to box?
Yeah, Moreno is one of the best strikers in the division. He himself has been able to get over Kaikara France. But yeah, just the pace. Like, Brandon Moreno is set in stone as one of the elites of the division. You know, I would like to see him back in there fighting Pantoja again, which he could do off the win of the back of fighting this Erceg. But yeah, Moreno is incredibly well-rounded, and he's a championship caliber fighter. He's already set in stone. I feel like all the questions have been answered in that Albazi fight in his last performance. I feel like all the questions in this fight will be down to, can Steve still compete at the championship level? And
joining us now on the couch, Dan Hooker, would you like maybe you'd like to give us an introduction?
Oh. Don't want to make his head any bigger than it is. Hey, Aaron Tauzemup Tau.
My head looks smaller with the hair out, that's why.
Look, I jumped on Instagram and I see that there were, you know, rumours about you making a wee return. So tell us more.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the first time round, the first take at Dana White Contender Series didn't really come to plan, but got an opportunity on Road to UFC, which is about 8 weeks away. So heading over to China to, put my foot down on that part of the world to see if I can make it happen.
Nice.
Yeah, if people obviously are not too familiar with Road to UFC, it's pretty much like a contender series for the Asia Pacific region. Where if you win a fight, like they sign you up for a series of fights. I think it's 3 fights, and if you win all 3, you're guaranteed a contract with the UFC. But obviously, like the Contender Series, you could win one, get a UFC contract, win two, be called up for the big show, or even put on a good showing and put your hand up for an opportunity. So yeah, it's pretty much like the Contender Series of our region.
Yeah, cool. Well, this is also another great way of showing New Zealand and the region other pathways to get into the UFC as well, because road to the UFC, as you say, not very common or well known. So this is really cool. And talk to us about, you know, last time when we saw you on the Dana White Contender Series, you were fighting at bantamweight. So talk to us about the journey this time.
Yeah, obviously after my loss on the Contender Series, I think it was Sean Shelby and a couple of other matchmakers said I might have opportunity if I drop down a weight class. So yeah, been hungry ever since. I obviously went over to Bali, I think it was Christmas or New Year's, so a couple of months ago, and did my first weight cut at flyweight, which was successful. Put the work in, and yeah, got a win over there on CFN, which is a Bali show. Honestly, the arena is amazing. It's like an old school castle, and they've put all of these screens like all around the room, on the roof. The effects in that place are absolutely insane. It's probably my favorite fight show to date. Like the atmosphere, it's like 2 stories, so like the booths above you pretty much are on top of the cage. Yeah, it was amazing. Went over there with Nikura and John Bruin, and yeah, we all got the dub that night, which was cool.
Nice one, nice one. Well, and it's, you know, for, as you say, Sean Shelby hitting you up after the fact, after the result that you wouldn't have wanted, but to, you know, say, hey, if you try it this division and give it another crack, you know, we're keen to have you back on. How much confidence does that give you?
Yeah, a lot more confidence than Dana White gave me. I think. A lot of my friends ask me, they're like, why does Dana White hate you? Oh, honestly, it's just, they misinterpret me being myself, and obviously you're kind of meant to come in with a soft landing, you know, those soft launches that you do with your missus when you first get them.
Whoa.
Yeah, it just kind of freaked out the locals a bit much, but yeah, I can't help but be myself, so I'm just going to go back and do what I do best, which is train hard and fight well. So most of the theatrics and the way I represent myself will come in second after I get the dub and solidify myself in the Road to UFC series. So I'm excited. The cool thing is, so there's a fight in May, then there's a fight in August, and then there's a fight in November. So 3 fights lined up in a row, which is like, it's real motivating. Keeps you on track. Like, it's easier to keep the weight down because you don't have big gaps between your camps. And building on top of each camp it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And obviously, got a teammate that's possibly coming over with me, Lawrence Louis. So yeah, I'm excited to see what we go over there and do, especially because he's from China. So yeah.
Nice one. Nice. And obviously, you're in the gym and you're working and all this, but heaps of teammates around you who are also, you know, got big fights named. Obviously, Dan's been in and out of camp as well. So how great, you know, the best preparation for, you know, another huge opportunity for you.
Yeah, the cool thing is there's a lot more smaller guys in the gym at the moment. So we've got Kioni from Tahiti over. Obviously, Kai's got his fight coming up. I think it's June maybe or something around there.
Don't give away everyone else's.
Give them away. Give them away. That's what we love about this show.
I think we got Kioni coming from Tahiti, Te Aroha MMA. Like, he's a really good prospect coming up through the ranks. And then obviously Kai's leading up to his fight. He's back in camp, I think. So we went down and did some strength testing at the High Performance Institute in Cambridge. And then there's a lot of boys that have come in and out of the gym that are smaller weight divisions. So it's been real good. And also a couple of the UFC China PI boys came over. And yeah, it's nice to have different looks in the gym and just some fresh, hungry, and those young fellas. There's heaps of young fellas in the gym that are coming through that definitely shooting for your spot. So it keeps you alive.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? Like, you were over there in Las Vegas with Aaron for Dana White Contender Series. What kind of support do you give during this transition?
No, he's got to do what he's got to do after the result. Like, it was still a good showing. His last fight in the Contender Series, he still had like it was a really good fight, like real entertaining fight for the fans. And yeah, I think it was like Hunter Campbell, who's pretty much like just under under Dana White. Like he's the guy that pulls the strings. Like he liked the way that Aaron, you know, fought and the way he carried himself fight week. Like it's obviously very entertaining to the North American audience. So he was the one that was like, we'll give Aaron a second shot at flyweight. And then kind of our coach Eugene turned to me and he's like, do you reckon Aaron can make flyweight? And I said, well, now he's broke, so I may as well just be hungry.
He's a flyweight right now.
Yeah. That's like people, when I started in the UFC, people were like, how on earth did he make featherweight? And I'm like, I was broke. Like, it's actually surprisingly easy to diet when you have no money to go out and eat food.
No, but Aaron, all the very best, obviously. We'll be watching your journey closely, and congratulations. It's cool to see the bounce back. I've had a few people asking me, what's happening with Aaron? What's happening with Aaron? So now you know.
Yeah, can't get rid of me. Can't get rid of me. You can try, but you can't. Trust me. Ask Hooker.
UFC returns to Mexico City with a star-studded card. Mexico's first UFC champion, Brandon Moreno, continues his hunt back to the title against top 10 flyweight Steve Erceg. Plus, tough 17 winner Kelvin Gastelum looks to halt the momentum of finisher Joe Pyfer. UFC Fight Night on ESPN2 and streaming on ESPN+.